Hello everyone, Allahu Akbar. Okay, getting closer a bit. Today is 12/18. That's Sunday, 15th of April. I'm continuing to do this blessed Mathnavi of Baha'u'llah, which is 318 lines. It's not a very complicated writing, but it's still, because it's poetry and it's classics, in a way, many Persians have problem in reading it, to be honest with you. Never mind understanding some of the words and how it goes. So I thought that I should do this because it is very hard to translate it. If you translate it in English, plain English, it will turn into like hidden words. Whereas this is not, this is poetry and it has its own way of doing it. Its expression is different. So we're going back to these 4 lines, which I've written only 3 lines. I have to add another line after, wipe it out and do the last one. Here Baha'u'llah changes the tone of the voice. After the prayer, in this 4 line, he feels a sense of reprisal and anger. And because this Mathnavi was written during in Istanbul, and those are the days that his stepbrother, 13 years older than him, the one basically that Baha'u'llah raised him, as he says, he taught him even how to read and write. This man, he went against Baha'u'llah, just for the matter of money and this and that. And there was some fellow, Muhammad Ali Isfahani, who was the cause of this. He went behind him and told him that he has to do this. So Baha'u'llah has, those days was very, hard days for him. He just didn't have the problem of the Bab attacking by the Muslims. Now he was attacked by the Babis, by the very followers of the Bab. Of course, not all of them, maybe 10, 20 of them. But they were attacking him in a very bad way. They were saying a lot of bad things to Baha'u'llah. In a book called the Book of Badi, which is in a contrast to the Book of Certitude, this book is a reference to the Babis. There Baha'u'llah says that in Istanbul, they were having a newspaper published by this relative of this young brother named Azal. As Abdul Baha calls him, Yamuti, Yahya Yamuti. That's what I like to call him, Yamuti. This Yamuti and his followers, they were publishing newspapers that Baha'u'llah, can you believe this? Baha'u'llah is in promulgations of the prostitutions, and Baha'u'llah is in jail. Oh my God! I don't know what kind of a patience Baha'u'llah had. I would definitely terrorize them if I was around there. I would be one of those that does not listen to Baha'u'llah, and I would just go perish these people by uttering this kind of a language to him. The essence of goodness and purity in jail with no power, physical power, and the enemies that they're calling themselves the followers of the Bab. These are the things they're saying about this, the manifestation of goodness. It is so hard, to hear this. So this is where, appropriately, Baha'u'llah refers to, and he says, Han bekesh an tir Allahi tra. Han, it's equal in English, let's say, behold, lo, here, now. It's not a word, it's basically a kind of an exclamation. Han means behold, now. Bekesh, draw, on that, tiq, the sword, the saber, Allahitra, your divine, Allah means the God, Allahi, godly, T is to God, the divine sword. This is that. So, behold the rod that thy divine sword, han bekesh, draw, on that teak, the saber, it was a sword. Allahi is divine. Hin bokosh, in dushmanan din tra. Han, same as hin. Hin and han are the same thing. You could say in English is low. Bekesh means draw. Bekosh means kill. Baha'u'llah says low. Kill these enemies. Dushmanan. Dushman means enemy. An is the plural form of it. Dushmanan. Dushmanane. This means like of in English. The enemies of thy fate, thy cause. Din means cause. Dinat te means thy, your cause. So the line goes, behold, draw that divine saber and kill these enemies of their cause. This dint, I've written dint, D-E-E-N-T. Actually, after N, there should be another A. So this has to be pronounced as dinat, means your din. But in poetry, Persian poetry has measures and meters. Therefore, in order the meter of this to equal to that, you should not pronounce the A after N. So instead of saying dinat, you have to say dint. Omit the A. Then it becomes like Allahit and dint become the same. Just so you know, don't say dinat, say dint in order to keep the measures. Go back this again one more time. Baha'u'llah here says, in a very special language, very, very hard, you know. So then we hear in the Baha'i Faith, oh, there should be peace, there should be no revenge or anything like that. Actually, that is the case. You have to understand this. Baha'u'llah says, God's sword. It doesn't say Baha'is sword. We Baha'is have no mandate at no time whatsoever to actually kill our opposers, those who are against us. No. But if they come and kill the children and so on, there is a measure of defense that has to be taken. But that order has to be issued by the universal laws of justice. Nobody has personal power to do this. Abdul-Baha says somewhere in the Some Answered Questions, if they hit me and beat me, I don't say nothing. But if they attack a little child, of course I'll defend that. That doesn't mean now, so like Abdul-Baha, we have to take these measures ourselves and do it. Of course not. Well, you know, there are emergency situations. But essentially pre-planning this and, you know, deciding, okay, these are our enemies, they're attacking us and doing this and that, so therefore we have to go and kill them back. Baha'u'llah does not allow this. Baha'i Faith does not find any use for this. Why? Is because Baha'i Faith is based on the necessity of mankind. Baha'u'llah has made it that this is a necessity. It's like water, it's like food, it's like a sleep. It's a part of survival. If we don't accept the Baha'i Faith, we have gone against our own necessities. We will die. Those who do not accept Baha'i Faith, they are taking the suicidal course of the self-destructions. Why would you want to kill a person who is killing himself already? You see? That's why we don't do it. If the person says man and women are not equal, or religion is not according to science and logic, or simply doesn't accept Baha'u'llah as the promised one, let's say example, what happens to them. In Iran, God says, okay, I brought your promised one. An imam from Shiraz, south of Iran, is 25 years old. But God is not dictator. So the Persian, they say, no, we don't want him. We want another imam from further north, which is the city of Khomein. I don't know, about 10 hours north of Shiraz, Khomein. And we like an imam who is older, not young 25, I want him older. Okay, what's that imam? That imam is called Imam Khomeini. So people say, no, we like Imam Khomeini, we don't like this Imam, the Bab from Shiraz. God says, well, go ahead. I have no qualm with you. Okay, they took the Imam in Iran for 30 years. You see what happened to them? He acted exactly like a virus in their system, has totally destroyed everything that they knew as Islam. But it's not his fault. No. He is only the wish that they wanted to have. Bob says very beautifully, the infidels, the bad people, punishment is what they wish. What they wish, Bob says, it is their hell. And the believers and the good people, what they wish is their paradise. So they wished him to come, of course, this Imam from Khomein, which I don't have anything against this particular Imam. I don't think he was a bad man at all. People chose him, and he just simply did what he knew how to do. And the result was a total fiasco. So Baha'i Faith says no. To accept Bab or Baha'u'llah or his teaching is a necessity. You don't accept it, you're on your own. What would that be? That is the punishment. We do not, Baha'u'llah says, I do not want to engage my followers in dirtying their hand to stain it with the blood or fight or hate or anger. I don't need it. I made this faith in such a way that those who do not get engaged in it, Tiga Allahi, the divine sword will take care of them. Oh, and how well it took care of them. Very well. You read that Advent of Divine Justice, Shoghi Effendi says, what happened to those who were against Baha'u'llah and against Bab, and what they did, what happened to them. That is how God gets rid of his enemies, through the divine sword. It's not a physical sword as such. It will manifest itself in a form of physical sword as well, but not that way anyways. The second line, which is in the same tone, His Holiness says, Barfuruzan naur Rabbani trao. Barfuruzan naur Rabbani trao. Wow. And flames, make that huge fire, the flame. Barfuruzan, making fire. Huge, Barfuruzan. Nar, the fire. The reference to the fire of the hell. Bring up that fire, it says. Which fire? The fire of Rabbani. Rabbani is the last name Shoghi Effendi used. We call him Shoghi Rabbani. Rab itself means God, Lord, but also means teacher. Rab, the one who's coaching you. Okay? Rabbani means a divine coach, a divine trainer. The Rabbaniyat of God is that part of God that trains us, that educates us, coaching us through. He says, bring that fire that trains and coach and brings people to their understanding. Bring that fire and flame the fire of divine fire. خوش بسوزان ملحد حربی را. خوش is like han and hin. خوش means beautiful, خوش means nice. And it says clearly burn. Besuzan means burn. behold, burn, mulhed, the infidel, harbi, then T at the end, harbit, your harbi, your mulhed harbi. Mulhed means infidel. Harbi is the word, it's used a lot of time in Islam. Harb itself means war. Harbi means, warlike in the war. So mulhed harbi or kafir harbi, they're the same words, is referred to an enemy that is fighting you and is killing you, and you have to fight him. There are two types of infidels. The infidel that has to fight to it. There's some ideological infidelity. People, say things that are wrong. That's one thing. But if they come and act upon it, and actually they come and get engaged in killing you, now the matter is outside of the human right expression or freedom of expression. This is not just the freedom of expression. This is getting into the engaging into killing, as they're doing it right now in Iran. These people who are in Iran, they're taking the Baha'is right now. They are mulhed harbi. They are the infidels that we have to fight with them. Bob allowed it as a defense. Baha'u'llah said, no, take the sword into its shell. We do not get engaged, he says, in battling these people. I personally will take care of them, he says. Khosh besuzan mulhed harbi trao. God has an educational fire, reprisal fire, the fire that will teach you what to do, and it will burn these mulhed harbi. And God knows, we know how many of them in Iran have suffered, those who engaged in, going against the Baha'is, and the history will show. There is no way in the world you can get any better revenge than that. The revenge of ignorance. Ignorance will come and get you. Oblivion will get you. That's the worst thing to do to yourself. So, although the tone of the voice here is really, revengeful, but Baha'u'llah says that, let that divine fire and a divine sword take care of it, which is the consequence of going against your own necessity. You don't drink water and you want to drink alcohol. That is your punishment then. You'll see. And so on and so forth. Go to the next line. Baha'u'llah again. جمله خفاشند ای خورشید روز. Jumle, all of them. Khuffash means bat. But you English people, when you look at bat, we don't look at bat the way that you do in the spiritual tone. Khuffash is a resemblance, It's just a matter of simile, of a darkness, of a vampire, of a being that wants to be in darkness. Okay. The poor animal has nothing to do with him, God loves it. I love bat. But this bat is an implication. It's just a simile. He said we all like to live in darkness. جمله خفاشند. خورشید, sun, روز, the day. It says, daytime, sun. These are all خفاش. I've written khof and then I put a line in between and then I said F. So that means khof fash. Khof fash. F is pronounced twice. Khof fash. جمله خفاشند ای خورشید روز. These are all nothing but vampires. The bats that they love the darkness to be in it. Sarbarar و جمله ظلمانی بسوز. Sarbarar we already said. like a sunrise. Rise, come up. And Jumble, all of them, Zulmani, darkness, dark side, all this darkness. Burn away all this darkness. Rise and burn away all this darkness. Again, draw baths, oh, the daytime sun, son of the day. Bring up, rise, and burn away all this darkness. It's a reference to those people that they made Baha'u'llah to suffer seriously when he says that from 6 directions they were attacking me. Is reference to them. Bab had one enemy, they were Muslims, divines. Now Baha'u'llah has more enemies. These times, first of all, not only the Shiites are his enemies, the Sunnis are his enemies too, because Osmani, which is the Turkish government, they were all Sunnis. They were added to the, troops of the enemy on the top of the Shiites. The Sunnis are attacking too. And within the faith, Baha'u'llah left to the mountain because he said, I have nothing to do with it. I'm quitting the prophethood for sure. But he had to come back, he said. Decision of the God, which is he himself, his higher self, decided to come back. That was the reason. So, because they were claiming a lot of things. This Azal, let me tell you a little bit of its psychology. A lot of people, including one of the people that unfortunately went against me, he himself interviewed me and sent the interview to the Universal House of Justice. He totally agreed with me and the House of Guardianship, but he then changed decisions. He thought that I have a big house and a big wife, beautiful wife, why not to get his wife and his property and kick him out. All I have to do is that go back and say that, forget all I said. So we turned away. I do not have any qualm against him also. This man, although put himself into hell, but he actually did a lot of help to me. If he wasn't there to marry my ex-wife, I would not be able to come from British Columbia to here to continue the mission. So I had to do what I had to do, but God did not make him to do this. He just wanted to do it, and the possibility was there. And he told me, go away, I'm not your friend anymore. This is my house and this is my wife. Get lost. I told him, it's a very bad destiny you're choosing for yourself. Seriously bad. Oh, they have trouble, a lot of trouble they have. And they had, but I said that, you know what, I like to say that I hate him, but when I look at the consequence, it was all glorious. I had to hire somebody like him to do this after I left to take care of, his old wife. I never let him to take care of my children, no. I knew that perhaps as a result of this betrayal, I'm going to get angry at the children. No, I went backward. I said that, okay, this is $40,000 a year to my children. I gave them enough that they could pay their own mortgage, their house and everything. Children. So they go back to mother and say that we don't want this guy around the house. So I, instead of bringing the children down, I empower them. So they do not need him or anything like that. And I still, doing my children, they don't owe any money. I work all my life and paid for them. What they have to do, because these are my contract with God. I accepted, to have the children, 2 of them, so I took care of them. What I'm trying to say is that it seems it was vice versa. This Azal, though, let me say a point about you. And this man, by the way, he was saying that one day, like we were not there. How do we know Azal was not right? I'm not mentioning his name. I said, well, then you haven't studied the faith well. all the prophecies of the Bible ends to Baha'u'llah. None of it is towards Azal. There is one in the Bible about Azal. It says the beast sitting on the chest of God. That's him. So, and the writing of Baha'u'llah and the life that Baha'u'llah chose. A prisoner in Akka, a noble man of a, aristocrats of Iran, right now went to dungeon and barefoot is going to Iraq, developing arthritis for the rest of his life, and living in a prison that you, my dear Canadian and English people, at that time you would not be able to live in 2 hours in there. Just the mosquitoes. And they said when the believers, they'll go see him in Akka, in next few days their foot become red like they were wearing a boot because of the stings, of these bed bugs and God knows what other bugs. Just blood-sucking bugs. In that environment to live. Baha'u'llah lived there till he died. So he said that, how do you know? Azal. So, and if you read, you have a time to read Azal's writing, it's not ridiculous. It is psychotic. I don't know what kind of a drug this guy was on. It's very hard to diagnose what kind of a damnation of thought he was in that he's bringing this against Baha'u'llah, against the person who loved him so much. The problem with him is that, it's psychology, okay? Psychology, a lot of covenant breakers. And their philosophy comes to a point that all of a sudden they say, you know what, is there a God? Maybe not. Maybe Baha'u'llah just decided on his own, okay, I'm going to come and say I'm the prophet of God. Somebody had to do it, so who is better than me? I'm going to do it. This is why Baha'i Faith, Baha'u'llah says, it is such a hard task to say that you are Baha'u'llah that no one in the earth can claim it even. See what they're doing to the Baha'is in Iran now? Imagine what happened 200 years ago to the Baha'is. Now you're going to say that you are Baha'u'llah, the very leader? Imagine what you have to go through. You have to be extremely brave, beyond brave. The bravery is the attributes of man. Baha'u'llah's bravery is a different type. Anyways, this Azal was thinking, you know what? I know my brother. I remember. Sometimes he didn't know a word, or sometimes maybe he did that. Sometimes we had a fight. He was too close to Baha'u'llah. So he took him that, just like me, he doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in Bob. He doesn't believe in anything. Simply for the sake of leadership, he's saying, I'm the leader. That was his illusion. That these things are lies. There is no Bob. There is no God. There is no hell. There is no heaven. It's just a simple lie, simple fabrication. You got to say it to yourself till you believe in it, like inculcate yourself. So he thought it's just, say it and it's going to happen. Sure, it might happen in North America today. Some of the priests in the southern priests, they'll do that. I know that. But not in the jail of Akka. You cannot pretend there. There's no pretension there. Either you are or you're not. So therefore he was saying that, I'm not just lucky. In some of his writings says that, the luck was not with me. I'm not just lucky. He's not capable, this fellow, so blind, that what he has written is like the sheer testimony to your stupidity, to your oblivion. I would not use those words. I would use a stupidity and oblivion towards the people, ordinary people. Azal's problem needs new words. This is a different type of abyss, the nethermost part of the hell. To make Baha'u'llah to become that angry against you, my God, you have to do something very tremendously bad. We just hear in the writings and there a little bit of it. But Baha'u'llah suffered from this man so much. I'll tell you, it was worse than what Muslim they did to him, what he did. As he says in one of the writings, there's no Bobby left. And why would people, they follow him? Muhammad Ali Isfahani went to Azal, told him, listen, you're going to have to claim. You have to say you are the Babs, this and that. Why? Because Bob did say in a letter that you are the chief of the Babis. That tells him that. Shobi Effendi says that. Well, the chief of the Babi does not make you the manifestation of God or the chief of the Bab. Baha'u'llah is the master of the Bab. Bab calls him the master. Okay, so you're chief of the Babis. Now the Bab's master came in. What are you saying then, Azal? He didn't understand. He said, I know my brother. We used to play a game and he cheated me once, or I saw him, he did this and he did that. He saw these things that is manly, and Abdullah says that too. This is why Baha'u'llah says in the Seven Valleys, because of being so evident, I've become hidden. I'm hidden because I'm so obvious. Because of clarity, I'm hidden. Like the sun is hidden from people. You know, people don't think about the sun in the daytime. They don't know the sun is responsible for everything they have in the earth. Nobody appreciates it, nothing. Thanks God for the existence of sun. No, nobody does that. So Baha'u'llah says, because I was so clear, so close to this man, like my brother, he thought everything is a lie, everything is cheat, everything is pretending, everything is pretension. So based on that, Azal was feeling even oppressed. He says, you know, between me and him, I'm cheating, Baha'u'llah's cheating, but he was a better cheater. He took over, and now everybody loves him. And never thinks for a second, what does Baha'u'llah get from these people that they believe in him? What did they give him? Anything? He's in jail. He has nothing. But this guy was, I want to say he's a psycho, because if I say he was a psychotic and psycho, then you might say that, okay, he was not as responsible. Azal was fully responsible for what he did. But he just went to a different degree of infidelity that the word cannot describe. So these are just 3 lines, but there's one other line. I'm going to have to write this while you're here with me. All right. Okay. Alright, I'm quick on that one. Anyways, I hope you see it. After saying those 3 lines, he then says this is very, very beautiful lines, really. He says, صاف کن این درد غم آلوده را. صاف کن, do clear. Kon means do, soft, clarify, clear it. In this, dard means pain. Darde, e means of. Gham, gham means sorrow, sadness. Alude means contaminated. Alude, I had to write down after L-O-O. A-L-O-O-D-E-H. Alude, contaminated. He says, clear this pain contaminated with sorrow. And then he says, Nur de, give light to this candle of the brooding night, of a night that is very, very sorrowful, very, the word that comes in my mind is brooding, you know, you're brooding down. It is really a brooding night. So he says, give light to this candle of this brooding night, you know, of a lousy night. So what this means is very beautiful after those lines. Baha'u'llah says pain, there's 2 kinds. One, pain, we're responsible because we did it. We did something wrong and we're getting punished for it. The other time, the pain, we're not responsible. They're giving to us, like the pain of some of the Baha'is in Iran, they have the pain that they're not responsible for. Like the pain of the pregnancy. The woman goes through a pain that she doesn't want really to go, but it's part of the nature, like a growing pain. So if the pain comes with the sorrow, Baha'u'llah says it's contaminated. But if the pain comes with happiness, because it was your decision to do this, a woman decides to become pregnant, she goes through the pain, but that pain is not bringing sorrow, it brings happiness. We have to understand, because some of the people, they say it's like masochism, because in the love you have to have pain. Baha'u'llah doesn't say that you have to aim for the pain. No. You have to aim for the love. But love comes with the pain, he says. You should not be afraid of the pain that comes with it. Okay? But we're not aiming to have pain. If you do that, you're sick. You really don't want pain. You want to achieve certain goal. The goal comes with the pain when you want to do it. Such pain, it was a decision to go along with the side effect of the achievement. The side effect of the achievement, if it is pain, it will bring happiness. It's okay. But if the pain is contaminated with the sorrow because you did not want this pain, you committed some crime, something wrong, bad decision. As a result of it, you're sorrowful and sad and painful. So if the pain is not, you're responsible for it. It should not be painful. You know, I would talk to the lawyer after my divorce. I says, I never heard a man like you that to give the house, give the car, and on the top of that give $40,000 a year also to the woman. I said, yeah, she was my wife, now she's my babysitter. I can never find a babysitter as good as her. She's a great lady in all the aspects. That line of the connection to be the husband is like an insurance. It matured up, it reaches maturity, no longer that connection exists. I respect that. Therefore, she has to go her ways. But she still is a great lady, has taught many people into the Baha'i Faith. I have a great respect for her. She's a great Baha'i. Okay, in that case, this decision, I understood what's coming to. I wanted to go after this eldership and the cause of Baha'u'llah. I had to accept the pain that comes with it. She did not want to get excommunicated and all that jazz. You know, which a dagger of the universal laws of justice and that man brought in, you know, to me. He says, I'm doctor this, I'm a doctor that, I'm a doctor this, and therefore I am the authority. I told him, very well, you got all those degrees from the non-Baha'i institution. All right, go be a doctor there and a chief there. This is Baha'i faith. You have no knowledge, sir. You don't know anything. The very simple things you don't know. Don't tell me I'm doctor this from that university or this university. That means nothing to me. Because we're talking about different subject. You're not relevant to this. So, the Baha'i doctors, the Baha'i scholars, please prevent this, to put these PhDs and doctor this in front of your names when you're addressing the Baha'i community. Do all of those, you earned it. Go to the non-Baha'is because they understand those PhDs and those doctorates, this and that and that. But in the Baha'i community, you have to go study the Baha'i writings and live with it and think about it for years. Now you're a doctor of the Baha'i faith, but you don't have anything. Like who? Like Ishraq Khavari. There were some doctors like Ali Murad Dawoodi. He was a doctor, you know, in the Department of the Psychology and Philosophy in Tehran, but he was also a master in the faith of God. He was such a master in understanding this. Or Dr. Bakhtavar, there were many of them in Iran that they were fully studying the faith. Like Dr. Riaz Qadimi, who was a man in the army, that part of it was not good, but otherwise they had knowledge. But nowadays, these guys, they come, I'm a degree having from the University of California, or, you know, from Harvard or Oxford, tell them nothing. People from Oxford and Harvard calling me to give them consultations. That means nothing. So back to this, Baha'u'llah says, clear this pain contaminated with gham, sorrow. Give light to this candle. Sham is not sham, is sham. It's got an E at the end. Sham. So, nur de. De means give. Give light. This candle of the night. Afsorde means brooding. You know, when flower doesn't have water, the word doesn't come in my mind right now. The petals, they all shrivel and shrinks. Afsorde means that. A person who is sorrowful, sad, his face is down, you know. So, we again have to use a E at the end of shab. If it was a normal sentence, it will be nurde in sham e shabe afsordera. But in the meter of the poetry, the E at the end of sham and E at the end of the shab is omitted. Instead of saying sham shabe afsorde, we simply say sham e, we give the E to the sham, but not to the shab. Sham e shab afsordera. Nur de in sham e shab afsordera. Give light to this sham. So sham, again, has a light, but it's not enough light, you see. You know, it needs more night, more light. Why? Because the night is so gloomy. Shab afsorde means a gloomy night. This gloomy night with this sham is not enough. It needs more light, Baha'u'llah says. Okay? So these pains that we have, it's contaminated with sorrow, has to be fixed. Alright, I'm going to have to go after this to different sets. So far, we just saw Baha'u'llah says the theme of this Mathnavi is essentially to explain the eternity of what it is. What would have happened if we did that? Then he prays to God in 10 lines that we become capable of understanding. Then, of course, he draws the sword and tells to the believers, when you're becoming a Baha'i, you're dealing with the things that are not good and nice, don't worry about it. God in that 3 lines says, with the divine sword, will take care of it, and the fire of the hell of his own. This fire is not fire of hell, it's not a Rabbani's educational fire. It's a coaching fire, the fire that a coach and educator and a trainer gives. It will fix it. And then he comes and he says, this is the problem. People have pain, but it's contaminated with sorrow. And after these lines, he's going to say, what is he going to do now? And he's going to say the things that he wants to do. Very well. God be with you. I still feel good today. I got some energy left yet. My hardware every day is changing to the software. The software gets bigger, but there is no hardware for it. The body is going down, in other words, as the software gets bigger and bigger. And there's a lot to do. Okay, God be with you.